Hi, I'm Patricia Allingham Carlson, and this is an end-to-end video in 8 parts of my painting, Mount Gretna Home. In episode 7, I am working on the plants and some more layers on the flowers. In some cases, I'm now at 3 layers of glazing to make the flowers bright. I'm detailing the railing and the door and continuing to work on those windows which are giving me such trouble. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe to see more. Let's paint. Back to Mount Gretna Home. Moving back from the painting, I decided that maybe some of the shadows on the front of the home were a little too dark. So here I'm adding some water and blotting them to make them a little bit lighter. I had left a white area there on the front of the porch to try to show a chair that was placed and catching some sunlight. Eventually I decided it was not working and not even necessary, so I ended up painting that out. And adding some pots and some supports for the pots. And in come more flowers. Again using alizarin crimson. And now using some permanent pink. The more layers go on the flowers, the brighter they're going to be. Since the gist of the painting was this beautiful garden of a house, I wanted very bright flowers. So repeated layers have been made and added. Sometimes the painting becomes a little tedious when it has so much detail. But I break up my painting sessions, and I usually play some very good music during my sessions. I'll even frequently sing during my sessions, but that's something I like to do. And we certainly don't record that here. Since I'm painting so many flowers, we're going to skip ahead a little bit here. I'm at the point now where I'm reaching the end of the baskets of flowers that need to be defined. There's more to go, but I have covered at least 3/4 of the flower baskets. Some of the baskets have faded and blurred at this point. I will sharpen some of them, and others I may just leave somewhat blurry. Everything doesn't have to be in hard detail. Still tweaking that ivy. So many little brush strokes to convey it, and yet I think that's exactly the way I want to do it, is with all those little brush strokes. A little more blue showing through in the sky. And I'm working with a bush that's closer to the house. And the depth of color will help define the edge of the house as well. Some of this bush comes over and lays on the roof. So these are the final sections of the big front tree. And again, I'm painting it in bunches with some lighter areas broken by the darks and the shades and shadows around them. So between the spokes of the railing, I'm painting in some darks of what's showing through to the front of the garden. Here I'm adding shadows at the bottom of each banister. The tops were catching the sunlight, so they gleamed. But adding the shadow at the bottom of each structure adds the dimensions and adds some structure to the entire painting. With all the free-form flowers, the structure of the building and all of its parts are very important. At this point in the painting, it is fairly well formed. What will be needed for a future painting is details and accents. Accents are very, very important to bounce the lights off the darks, to keep the painting lively, and for balance. A lot of evaluation becomes necessary as you near the end of a painting. And I strongly suggest stepping back from your painting, putting it across the room from you, and getting a different perspective on it occasionally is to be very helpful. Back to those windows. I'm still deciding just how I want to handle the separate panes of glass. And again, I turn my paper to try to paint straight lines and get the direction correctly. And that works best for me. Taking a little more shading and shadows off of that side of the building. And I like the uneven texture and shadowing. It looks more natural to my eye. And here I'm darkening the front door. And back to that ivy. And I decided to tone down some of the whites of the banisters. And here I'm using a yellow ochre. Hoping you enjoyed this video and that you learned something too, as well as me learning something. I appreciate your likes, and please do subscribe. If you click on the bell and select all, you'll get a ring whenever I post a new video. Your comments are always welcome, and I will see you soon with a new end-to-end painting. So don't forget to subscribe.